So back to my daily routine. My daily routine is pretty standard when I'm here in Rishikesh, when I'm not traveling. I am awake by around 4:30 in the morning. We have prayers from 5 to 6. I do my own, we have, community prayers from 5 to 6. I do my own japa and meditation in my room as well, some prior to the community prayers, some after that. And then I come to my office probably around 7 or 7:15 or so, after going down to Ganga and doing pranam and having her darshan. And it feels very much, even now that it's been almost 15 years, it still feels very much the way that a child in the morning rushes to crawl into their parents' bed first thing in the morning, and isn't really happy waking up until they've spent a few minutes under the covers with the parents in bed. And that for me is what it feels like when I go down to Ganga. That it's, okay, I'm awake, my day has started, but before it really can start, I have to go and get under the covers with Mom. And that's the feeling that you have being with her, is this truly just divine presence. And then I'm in my office.
Can you share with everyone, and I'm sure after listening to your bio, they're going, wow, why would you choose to give up all your comforts, your family, your friends in America, to live a life of service in India? Can you share with everyone why you have done that?
Absolutely. And the first thing I want to do is clarify something, because giving up implies sacrifice. It implies that you have let go of something valuable in exchange for either nothing or in exchange for something much less valuable. So, one could say, I gave up this, wonderful meal to the child who didn't have it, or I gave up this wonderful meal because I was on a diet. It's really a sense of sacrifice. You've let go something of great value. And for me, coming to India and being here has been obtaining something of great value. It absolutely does not feel to me like I have let go of anything of great value. I know that what I had, whether it's the money, whether it's the degree, whether it's the life, whatever, is on an objective level to most people valuable. But in the real scheme of things, in terms of that which really brings us peace and joy and meaning in life, it doesn't actually hold any weight. That which holds weight is the spiritual connection. And that is what is available here. I'll tell you a funny story. After I'd been in India for about maybe a year or two, I was back in USA, and I'm a scientist at heart, and I decided to conduct an experiment because I had already noticed and felt, both palpably as well as intellectually realized, how much happier and deeply happy, not just complacent or resigned or content, but deeply happy people are here. And I conducted an experiment when I went back, and I took about 10 people whom I knew, each of whom is at the very highest level of their particular field. So a billionaire CEO of, a top company, a well-known Hollywood actress, somebody who was a center for the LA Lakers, a tenured professor at Stanford, all of these different fields of existence, someone who had really achieved that which the rest of the world is running and forsaking their health and forsaking their family and forsaking their spiritual practice in order to obtain. And I didn't tell any of them I was conducting an experiment. I simply made it a point to either meet them or to speak with them on the phone. And in the midst of the conversation, I asked each of them one question. I said, "Are you happy?" And what I got was phenomenal. I got one of two answers from everybody. The answer either was, "I will be happy when," And you can fill in the blank. The mortgage is paid off, the kids go off to school, I lose the 10 pounds I gained over the holidays. Or I would be happy if my husband would work less, there were just less traffic on the freeway, I could just squeeze back into the skirt that I wore a few months ago, whatever it was. But there was no one, none of them, who in this moment, with whatever they had, were actually happy. Every single one of the answers was either I will be happy when, or I would be happy if. And what I realized was that we're running after the wrong thing. We're literally trying to squeeze orange juice out of a cow. We're told by the Western culture, by the media, by society, that happiness and fulfillment and meaning in life and connection and all of these things that we're looking for, that they come from having a house in the right area of town, having the right job, living in the right area, having your children in the right school, vacationing in the right resort, looking the right way. And when you have people who have attained all of that, and they're still not happy, then the question becomes, well, clearly this is not the equation for happiness. And of course that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with those things. It's wonderful to have them, just like a cow is wonderful as long as you want to drink milk. But if what you want is to drink orange juice, then you can squeeze and squeeze and squeeze that cow forever, and it's never going to come out. And two problems happen then. Number one, you can't enjoy the milk because you're just waiting for orange juice. And number two, you're never going to get the orange juice. So we're living this life in the West in which it's a tragedy on both counts. Neither are we able to appreciate that which we do have, because it's not what we think we want, nor are we able to actually achieve what we want because we're not looking in the right place. We're going, to buy shoes in a grocery store or something, and it doesn't exist there. It's not possible. Puja Swamiji always says you can't send away to a catalog or walk into a department store and order a pound of peace or a kilogram of happiness. And yet that's really what the West tells us we should do, that's where it comes from. So what I gave up was comfort, sure, convenience, sure, luxury, efficiency, but nothing on a deep level that actually brings an anchor to our life, that actually brings meaning into our life. That has come from getting connected to the divine, from living a spiritual life, from giving myself into service. And that's what I've been given here. And so it's been an amazing gift. I feel incredibly blessed and incredibly grateful that I've been shown a path. I remember when I first got here being amazed at the looks in the eyes of the people. They had nothing, but their eyes shone in such a way. And to me, that is wealth. Wealth is not about whether you've got a 4 or 5 or 6 or 10-figure income or bank account. Wealth is about, do you feel that your cup is overflowing? And when you come here, the poorest of the poor people, I'm sure you've experienced this, the poorest of the poor people want nothing more than for you to come to their house so that they can feed you dinner. They come over, have a meal with us. If not a meal, at least a cup of tea. All they want to do is give and give and give. And they have nothing. And yet they feel so prosperous. Their cup feels like it's overflowing so much. That's wealth. That's abundance. And then in the West, we have so much, and yet it never feels like enough. And we hoard because we feel like this is just another dollar, just another this, just another that, and then I'll be happy. And that's poverty. So what I was really given was a gift, in a window into a world that really seemed to have the answers, and a place where people's lives were focused on that which really matters, rather than on just luxury and efficiency and convenience, under the guise of thinking that someday these are going to actually bring them joy and happiness, which of course they never will.
So, would you advise all the people in the West to come to the East? Or can they find the spirituality?
Of course they can.
In their heart in the West?
Of course they can. Of course they can. It doesn't have to be here. For me, that was the window. I mean, I was 25. I was not a seeker. I had never doubted or questioned the world in which I lived. So it wasn't until I got here and was face to face with the truth that I realized it. But of course one doesn't have to come here. But you do have to become aware. You do have to become aware of the really insidious nature of the doctrination that we are under in the West, indoctrination, that is telling us that the purpose of life is to acquire more, obtain more, achieve more. And the interesting root of all of this, actually, Janet, is that what Indian culture says, which of course is applicable and learnable anywhere, is that the self, the true self, is limitless. We're one with the divine, and just as the divine is infinite, so are we infinite. And that what's happening is the self has been bounded into this body, and it's been, it has started to identify with the body, with the desires, with the hunger, with the thirst, with the lust, with the greed, with the anger. And so it has started to feel very, very small. And all of the things that we are trying to attain and obtain are actually an unconscious effort for the self to expand. If you look at just the body language of people, every time they buy something new, what you'll see, I can't show it over the phone, but what you'll see is there's this outstretching of the arms. Look at my new dress, or look at my new shoes, or look at my new furniture. And it's almost like saying, look how I have expanded. And that's what we're really trying to do. What we're really trying to do on a very unconscious level is go back to the infinite nature of who we are. But of course it doesn't happen by having a new pair of jeans, and it doesn't happen with a new pair of shoes, and it doesn't happen with anything that is tangible or material or purchasable. But that's the only way we know how to achieve it. And so we keep piling things on top of ourselves with the idea that somehow this is helping me expand. But it's actually not. It actually suffocates us, because as we pile ourselves with more and more things, the self inside of us starts to suffocate. And then we actually end up becoming more and more frustrated. So then we think, oh, I'm frustrated, I'm depressed, maybe I should go shopping. And the cycle continues. But this wisdom is available anywhere. All we have to do is we have to stop and we have to say, what is it that I'm actually looking for? And the answer for most of us is, I'm looking for inner peace. I'm looking to feel loved by others. I'm looking to love others. I'm looking to feel deeply connected. I'm looking to feel grounded. I'm looking to feel anchored. I'm looking to feel like my life is meaningful. And then the question becomes, well, would changing my brand of shampoo really make that big of a difference? And of course it doesn't. But because we live our lives on automatic pilot, when the commercials show us these really happy people switching brands of shampoo, on automatic pilot, unconsciously, we think, oh, that's the problem. I've just been using the wrong brand of shampoo, or I've just been wearing the wrong brand of running shoes, or I'm sending my kids to the wrong school, or my car is last year's model. And if we can just bring some awareness to it, just a little bit of awareness to stop and say, wait, clearly it's not about the brand of shampoo. Clearly